Dan Tortora on site, on location. Proud to be here with you every single month from Pizza Man Pub, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. We are on stage and happy to be here with you for the DIRECTV Holiday Bowl college football game. Syracuse Orange up against the Washington State Cougars, who are sans 22 of their players plus their head coach. So that's going to be fun. Take that, Marshall. They decided to play.
No, plus 3 of the coaches on the staff.
So basically the same place as Marshall, but they've decided to play.
I want to play in that game.
Yeah, I'd like to be in that game. Listen, Syracuse was on the other side of that last year, and I was there when they had the coaching staff leave. Aronde Gadsden was out, Garrett Schrader was out, and they got blown out by South Florida. So they know what it's like to be on the other side in the Washington State world. So we are here, of course, on Wake Up Call at Pizza Man, giving you the DIRECTV Holiday Bowl preview and the college football, thank you, sir, the college football playoff preview. And I am honored to be here with Jeff Cook. We call him Cookie, and he is the president of the Beeville Bills Backers Club. So we celebrate the Bills, as always, on a 12-2 season right now.
11-3.
11-3. Why do I think that I thought they won one more. I thought they did.
What are you popping in your mouth?
That is whatever you gave me from your pocket. So we'll see how the show goes. So we're here with Cookie, here the Beeville Bills Backers, 11-3. Josh Allen, I thought you were 12-2. Take it from me. And a guy that knows what it's like to win a college football national championship. So we're going to preview the national championship. Then we got to do it with Mr. Al Romano. If we're going to talk college football national championship, hoisting the trophy, you got to do it with a national champion who hails from Solvay right here in Central New York. So happy to have Al Romano, Jeff Cook, Cookie, and myself, Dan Tortora. And you guys are going to be sharing this mic, the mic that you have, Cookie. So I'll start with you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you?
I like the haircut. I think it's fresh.
Thank you.
Was it done recently?
Just today. Just for the show, really.
Just for the show. I love that.
They say he looks good on radio.
That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you need.
Face radar. The minute you asked me, I was going to get a haircut. I canceled it, so it's fresh for today.
I like it. I appreciate the fresh cut that you have. I look forward to the day when we have hair and makeup that are here at Pizza Man before we get started. So, Al?
Yeah, but you didn't get it done because you were late.
Listen, I did mine. I did what I needed to do back at home.
Al, what?
How are you?
I'm fine.
Your hair always
Did you
nice.
notice the people out there, if they see this, did you notice I didn't get a microphone?
Yeah, because your mic wasn't working.
Then he gave you that one. No, this one's on us. We're not disrespect to the national champ.
Yeah. You're a national champion.
Yeah.
I mean, I can shout. I have the broadcasting voice. You can take the mic if you want to.
You know, I would give up anything. I actually gave up my ring to get Pitt into another one.
Okay.
And then they started out well.
Yes, they did.
They started out well.
They made Syracuse. I want to let you know that I was on a date in New York City, and I brought the girl. We found a Syracuse bar, and I was like, she's like, we got to watch the game. She said, they're at Pitt. You got to watch it. You want to watch it, so we're going to do that for you. We went to watch the Syracuse Pitt game. She had never seen Syracuse before. It was one of the most. I told her to turn away from the television. Don't know where. She goes, "Do you want to switch your hat now? Take your hat off." People were leaving, so
that was over the first drive. I mean, second drive. That was over.
Pretty much. So, yes. Thanks for reminding us. Your team went 7-5, Al, this season. Still a winning record. Last year was really the only bad year for Pat Narduzzi in the entire time that he's been at Pitt. I think they went 3-9 or somewhere around that world.
Yeah.
But this year, found his way back, got to a bowl game. I think they're playing Toledo in a bowl game. I picked them to win their bowl game, by the way, over Toledo.
Toledo?
I did.
Okay.
How do you feel like that game's going to go? Toledo and Pitt.
I'm not going to bet it.
You're not going to bet it?
No.
Why not? You should bet it. I think you should put your... Toledo.
The fact that Pittsburgh's only hanging 7 on that game.
Who's that?
Said Pittsburgh's only hanging 7 points on that game.
Really?
Tells you everything you need to know. I don't know who's sitting out for Pittsburgh. I would assume nobody's opting out for Toledo, but
Yeah.
You know,
Could be wrong.
They lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
They lost him at the end of the season,
Yeah, I fixed it.
and they lo-
Yeah.
yeah, and it was miserable. It was miserable.
They started what,
7-0.
Yeah. Started 7-0. Can I hear you now?
Can you hear us?
Go ahead. I can hear you. You're good.
Yeah.
So, Al, you've won a national championship. You got something on Cookie and I. So, how does a team, and I know it's different now because it's not the BCS anymore. This is a 12-team college football playoff. But being the one that is a national champion in the room, what does it take, in your opinion, to win a national championship? Besides having good players and scoring more points than the other team, all that John Madden stuff that we would hear, bless him in heaven. What does it take?
Well, I used to tell people that it took us. We all. They don't have going on back then what we have going on now. It's not college sports anymore. But anyway, we you're talking 110 guys. I mean, 4 years, lived together, drank together, partied together.
Yeah.
And then we just.
And that was in year one.
That was that was my freshman in high school.
The statute of limitations is over, Alex.
No, it was weird because the guys who didn't play well, I mean, or didn't quite fit the mold.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the same thing with them. We did with the Dorset. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was any better than anybody when we were on the field. And people keep asking me, how did you do this? How did you? Hey, like the Hall of Fame thing.
Yeah.
I just did what they told me to do. There was nothing special. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you needed to do. And Al, you played in the NFL after that.
Yeah.
You had a nice career in the NFL.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say you
I
did.
was
You played
there.
for Houston. You did get to play for Houston for a little while. You bounced around a little bit. I'm going to ask you this question and be honest. If you were a head coach right now and you were recruiting both Cookie and I, what position would you recruit Cookie for and what position would you recruit me for? I'm interested to know.
Well, you have to be a kicker.
I would have to be a kicker.
You would have to be a kicker.
That's really disrespectful, but
I
okay.
look like if Mike Allstott.
What would you want Cookie to play?
I think he'd be
Commentator and scout?
No, I think he'd be a good linebacker. What do you think?
Single bar face mask?
Yeah.
Let you play line.
No. We want you tough. We're not going to give you a face mask.
No face mask. Just letting him go out there and play on his own.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Al said I could be the
originally
kicker.
supposed to play that part. They said I was so good at it.
So, thank you as always, Al, for your compliments. Cookie, you came here prepared with the brackets for us to fill them out and do this in front of everyone. You always come prepared. I feel like we talk about doing more stuff together, but I'm really in need of somebody in the background just being a right-hand person. I might have to hire you. I might have to work with you on something. Because nobody has to, see, the thing is, I always have to be, bring stuff out. If I'm doing an event, I got to be prepared. I have to have stuff for people. I didn't ask you to do anything. You came, I took your ring. I bought it on eBay. So, but looking at this, you come prepared. You got the brackets. You do this for all of us, not just yourself. Have you always been a thoughtful, prepared person because the world desperately needs people like you?
I'm not sure how to answer that one. I would think so.
Hey, Dad, Bill, has he always been thoughtful and prepared and organized? Because he always helps me, sets me up with everything over here. Okay. He has? Yeah.
Joey got a college degree because of my that.
He got me through my college degree.
How much is that going to cost you? That answer from your dad.
So,
I want to hear more about
no.
the crowds that you
Dan, I look like, no.
Man, hey, you know what we should be talking about? Finally, you're hearing Allen MVP. Finally.
I mean, I don't even have to chime in. We know the answer.
Oh, I know, but Jesus,
They beat the Lions.
what took him so long?
They
I
beat
don't
the
know what
Lions.
else he has to do.
He beat the Lions.
I mean, he did the shovel.
They scored 48 points. They played in the snow, and he completed a pass that they handed off to him, and then he skied into the end zone. There is no better quarterback in the country right now than Josh Allen, and that includes Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes, yeah. It's not even close. It's Allen, Gap, Jackson, Gap right now. But unfortunately, Lamar's having his best statistical year.
I
But-
still think you give it to Josh Allen.
You have to. Look what he's doing it with.
It's made a big difference. The less turnover.
Oh, yeah.
The turnover thing last year was a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, he had 24 turnovers
Right.
last year. He's got 7 this year. That's
So,
I want to hear. I'm glad because I love the guy. You know, I love the Bills, and I just don't think maybe because we're a small market or the Bills, Buffalo is a small market city. I'm glad they're finally bringing it up.
he needs to be the MVP. And I believe, and I said this going into the year, Buffalo got hype 3 years ago, hype 2 years ago, hype last year. This year, not so much hype. I think the Bills play better when there's no expectation.
they always have. mean,
So I
that's
feel like
really
we
what it
continue to just kind of fly under the radar type
The
of thing,
last
but the Eagles.
3 years, or 2 of 3 years, they were almost 5-5, 7-6, and then they just went out. Josh in December is 21-3.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Josh in December, 21-3.
I actually have it in. You want to talk about organization?
There you go, Al.
I know this isn't great for television, but I can show
Josh
it to you.
Allen in December.
There's his stats in 21-3, 63 passing touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 19 rushing touchdowns. There's 82 touchdowns, 15 turnovers in December.
Incredible.
He likes December. He's a good December guy.
He's the winter soldier.
He is. How about that? The winter soldier. I like it.
He's the Reggie Jackson of football.
Mr. December.
For
December.
December. I love it.
So we can actually pivot on that, Dan.
Yeah, sir.
How about we finally have a head coach that can win a game in Syracuse in November and December?
Yes, and it was funny because Fran, by the way, I just want to let it be known to the community, not that if you didn't know this already, but you know it now. When Fran calls out all the people that said that Syracuse sucks in November, he never looks at me in the press conference. So in November now, this team has been pretty darn remarkable. He came in hearing and then apparently reading about how bad Syracuse was in November, how much they falter in November. By the way, on record, I had Syracuse beating Miami in the Dome.
Really?
It was the first time that well, think about it like this.
What was the spread on that game?
I think it was 13.5.
And so you see a couple touchdowns. So Miami last time Miami came into the Dome, it was crazy. It was to the day. It was Saturday, November 30th, 2002, and they blew Syracuse out. And then Syracuse hasn't played them in the Dome since. And then Saturday, November 30th, 2024, to the day, the last time they played, they were conference opponents in the Big East. First time they were conference opponents in the ACC was this season. And I picked Syracuse to beat Miami. Miami was the darling of the ACC this year, even though SMU was ahead of them by 2 teams, even though SMU was undefeated. The College Football Playoff Committee was doing everything in their power to get them in. And I said, Fran did something similar to what I would do in the moment when he looked in the camera and he said, "Hey, Dabo Sweeney, I got you in, baby." And then he stuck his tongue out and said, "I'm getting washed tonight." So I love it. And Dabo said, you know, God opened the door and a little bit of Syracuse. So he did give it back to Syracuse after they won that
He
game.
also said, he goes, if we win it all, like Fran Brown will be right next to me on the championship float.
All I'm saying is I know them both. They're both people of God. If that happens, Dabo, don't forget about me as well. Maybe Fran will take me as his +1.
Well,
I'll do what I can.
when Dave Wanstead was head coach, not to get to talk about Pittsburgh, but we were 8-1, and we were vying for not a championship because back then you had to win them all.
Yeah.
It's like you weren't even a contender.
Yeah.
Anyway, Miami comes to Pittsburgh. Not a great team at that particular time.
What year is this?
Wanstead, 2013,
Yeah.
13, somewhere around there. Anyway, they beat the shit out of us. And it was like you could hear a pin drop in the stadium because we were expected. I mean, we're 8-1 and we play Miami and get beat.
That's like Michigan, Ohio State this year.
Yeah, but I love that whooping.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I love it.
I actually heard a lot of people say, like, if Ohio State wins the national championship, it's still a losing season because they lost to Michigan that year.
And they did. And that was the thing with Michigan is Michigan typically doesn't beat Ohio State in recent history. And I don't.
Especially with that team they had.
Yeah, and a five-loss Michigan team defeats Ohio State, and Ohio State doesn't play in their championship, and they're still regarded as one of the best teams in the country. That is the Big Ten factor. That is the Big Ten unfair treatment. That is the Big Ten love. That is the Big Ten protection. As long as you win enough games, you remember what they said about Indiana? They said if Indiana lost to Ohio State, this was on television, there was a graphic. If Ohio State beats Indiana, Indiana loses to Ohio State, they had a 96% chance of getting in the college football playoff. How many teams in the country have an almost 100% chance of getting in a playoff if they lose, if they get blown out? Who gets that? But Indiana got that. And to me, I agree with the college football playoff this season in most places. I don't think Notre Dame is 7, but I agree with them in most places, except for Notre Dame shouldn't be as high, in my opinion, losing to Northern Illinois at home. But Indiana at 11-1, if you put their schedule up to Army and Army played in a championship and won their championship over Tulane, I would have put Army in over Indiana. That's the only change I would have made. Because a fourth Big Ten school versus having a champion in Army, never won a conference championship, first year in the conference in the American, went 11-1, only team they lost to was Notre Dame, and Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. So all I'm saying is, if Army's 11-1 and they win a conference championship that Indiana didn't play in theirs, why is Army not in this thing?
Because they lost to Navy.
Yeah, but that was before. It happened before. It wouldn't have mattered. They chose it before.
I mean, Army lost 3 games, right? Including Army-Navy?
The Army-Navy, yeah, but they
So they
did,
had
the
2
selection was before that, so.
I mean,
That wouldn't
at
have
the end of the
affected
day,
it.
if it came down to Army, Indiana,
Well, Army only lost 2 games, 11-2.
Army, Indiana, and Alabama would, what, to both of them. And they went 9-3. So
Alabama screaming the most right now.
yeah, and I don't feel bad for a team that guy has 3 losses and don't get in. I mean, you don't
But
get
you
in.
know what the committee did this year is by putting in SMU, who I feel deserves to be there and earn the right to be there, by putting in SMU and putting Clemson at 12 and making Clemson the 5th highest ranked conference champion, and then when they say they're the 5th highest ranked conference champion, they can decide where Clemson's going to be. They put Clemson in the 12th seed out of 12 teams, and they have 3 losses as a conference champion. No at-large team has 3 losses. Not South Carolina, not Ole Miss, not Alabama. What the committee, in my opinion, did this year is they said 3 losses is too much. Nobody's going to get in at-large with 3 losses, and we're only going to put Clemson in because we have to, and we're going to put them at the exact end to remind Alabama, this is why you're not in, you have 3 losses. I think the 3-loss thing is what the committee was looking at this year, and that's why they kind of punished Clemson.
I agree with you there, and then you can do a reverse, a 180. Apparently it's not good to have 0 losses because Oregon got the worst draw of all. They have to play the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State, and then probably the winner of Texas, Arizona State. So Georgia or Oregon with the 1 seed is going to have to play the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State,
Right.
probably Texas,
Right. Probably.
then Georgia.
Yeah.
So then Georgia. So they're going to have to beat 1, 2, and 3 in the country.
Yeah. So the number 1 seed got the shittiest.
The worst draw.
Worst possible draw you could possibly
Worst
get.
draw.
And you got to quit that swearing. Anyway,
That's Allen too.
yeah. Well, first of all, the most upsets me more than anything in here is really Penn State is ranked where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6.
That is the biggest farce in the history of.
The only 2 games they played, they lost.
Yeah.
Ohio State and Oregon.
Penn State?
They don't have a win.
They don't have a quality win. They have none.
I'm surprised they're in this bracket right now, but yeah, at least 15, maybe 14.
So you wouldn't have them
No.
Their best win is 9-3
They play
Illinois
nobody.
in Penn State.
Well,
Their best win's Illinois
That's the
at
whole
Happy
Indiana
Valley.
claim to fame thing is Indiana
Yeah.
beating. That thank goodness for Illinois that saved the season for Penn State and for Indiana.
Right.
Good old Illinois. I mean, you look at this. You look at the claim to fames. Ohio State's claim to fame is that they almost beat Oregon. They didn't play in the Big Ten championship, but they beat Penn State and they beat Indiana. Penn State's claim to fame is nothing. Indiana's claim to fame is nothing. Indiana got blown out by Ohio State. And Penn State, they can say that they played Oregon tough. But here's the thing. In the Big Ten, and this is why I say the Big Ten has an advantage over the rest of the country, maybe not the SEC, but everybody else. And definitely more than the SEC this year because they have 4 teams in, more than any other conference. And if you're going to put a conference in more than anybody else, it's the SEC. But when you look at this, you say Ohio State's claim to fame is a quality loss. Penn State's claim to fame is a quality loss. They got close to beating Oregon, but they didn't. Ohio State beat Penn State and Indiana.
Penn State didn't.
Right. Why? And Ohio State lost to Michigan. A 5-loss Michigan team. So when you look at this, you say, if Notre Dame can lose to Northern Illinois, who was probably ranked 81st in the country at the time, if they can lose to one of the teams that goes 4-4 in their conference in the MAC, 7-5 overall, Ohio State can lose to a 5-loss Michigan unranked team, and Indiana can do absolutely nothing this season but beat a bunch of non-ranked teams except for Illinois, then what are we this is the whole point that I make on the show, and people think I hate the Big Ten. I would say this about any conference in America. If you can go through a season and Michigan beats Ohio State, so Ohio State's got a massive blunder, Notre Dame's got a massive blunder, Indiana's got nothing to write home about, why the hell are these teams in over some of these other schools?
Because I don't think there's any really elite football team this year. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like you can be like, oh, that's a good win. Then you could reverse the course. Look at Texas. Texas hasn't beaten anybody. Really crazy, but their only 2 losses are Georgia. So, like Texas they snuck away from Vanderbilt and they beat A&M.
Who do you think's crying the most?
Alabama. They shouldn't
without
be.
doubt.
I would say Ole Miss, too. Ole Miss,
You're right.
they
You're
got a
right.
case for themselves.
Yeah, but would they lose? I mean, they lost 2 or 3 in November to Kentucky and LSU.
Well, and you know who spoiled it all for everybody is there's this little old team called Kansas that knocked out BYU, knocked out Colorado. Those are the 2 teams who are going to play for the Big 12 championship. So Arizona State should send a nice greeting card this Christmas to Kansas for the game that Kansas had. But
That's a good point.
Ultimately, the reason why, besides the Big Ten having an advantage and Notre Dame basically being treated like a Big Ten team, the thing that helped out this field the most is that the SEC beat the hell out of each other this year. That's what helped them the most. Ole Miss 3 losses, South Carolina coming on late. Florida came out, by the way, Scott Strickland should have put that letter out that he was keeping Billy Napier earlier. As soon as he put out a letter publicly that he was keeping him, Florida played better. So Florida had a good back half. South Carolina had a good back half, good season. Ole Miss had a couple trip-ups, but they did some good things. So, I mean, ultimately, look at what Vanderbilt did. Look at how Kentucky played certain teams, how they played Georgia in a 13-12 baseball game, essentially. The SEC kept themselves out because the committee looked at 3 losses this year. Because I would take Alabama, Ole Miss, or South Carolina over Indiana every day of the week. And I think that Penn State would have trouble with Ole Miss. I think Penn State would have trouble with Alabama. So, I mean, I'm happy Tennessee made it in, but I look at this field and I say to myself, why? I mean, the best thing about Notre Dame, Indiana is one of the teams, Notre Dame being ranked too high and Indiana not being there, someone's going to beat the other one and knock them out. That's the most positive I could take from the bottom of the bracket, is Notre Dame got the unfair advantage of everybody liking the movie Rudy, and Indiana is there just because they have 1 loss.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to remember, they essentially chose Clemson for winning 1 final game against SMU.
Yeah.
Clemson lost the week before to South Carolina.
Right.
Which was a good team.
Yeah, it's a very good team, but I'm saying they picked Clemson for getting an extra game when Carolina didn't.
Right.
And so head-to-head, they're basically head-to-head means nothing is what they're telling you.
Right.
I mean, because if they're actually telling you that, they didn't want to put Clemson in, but they still ranked them behind SMU, so that recent head-to-head means nothing.
Oh.
Clemson lost to South Carolina, both 9-3 at the time.
I guess the committee really wants to see Oregon and Ohio State play each other again
Yeah.
in the next round.
So here's where we can pivot. Who do you think wins?
Oregon's got a
All
rougher
these games.
road. Oregon's got a rougher road to get to there.
Oregon's the only unranked team in the nation of over 130 schools in the FBS. And Oregon, like you guys said, they got to play the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee. Then if they win, they got to play the 2 teams that I thought were the best in the country at the time. Was probably going to be Texas and Oregon.
Texas and
Yeah. So they got to play Ohio State or Tennessee. Then they got to play Texas, in my opinion.
Texas.
And then
maybe, and then you're looking at Georgia, because Georgia's just a pain in the butt for anybody to play.
This is what I thought. I think they panicked because the SEC was losing all these games.
Yeah.
So they had to quick and change things up a little
Right.
bit. So what I came up with is this is exactly what I said. They either ranked them by score. In other words, the high scores a game.
Blowouts.
Blowouts. Or the guy with the weak schedule.
Or in the case of the Big Ten, if you have a quality loss. There is a quality loss.
So I think we should go. Let's just do our. What do you think?
Go down the line.
Yeah.
I think I lost my mind a little bit this morning when I was going through this. I said some things, so we'll see how I feel about it now. I'm going to defer to you guys. So, Cookie, you go first. We're going to go down the line of the first round. Clemson, Texas. So, number 5, Texas. Number 12, Clemson. 8-9, Ohio State, Tennessee. 6-11, Penn State, SMU. I'll be on site for that game, covering that game. And then 7, Notre Dame, 10, Indiana. Cookie, give us your whole first round.
Okay. So you want score or just winner?
You can do both. He's so prepared.
Score.
I love it.
No, I think Texas wins 31-13.
Exactly.
31-16 maybe.
Okay.
I don't think Clemson. Texas is the third overall defense in yards allowed at 270 in the country. Like, Clemson just doesn't have. I don't think they have the firepower, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, passing yards. Texas only allows 143 passing yards a game. That's their bread and butter. I just don't.
You don't see him doing it.
I don't see them doing that.
No.
I truly don't.
No,
Clemson, Texas.
I wholeheartedly agree with them. I just don't think Clemson has had the teams they've had in the past.
Yeah.
I
don't knock Dabo Swinney when it comes to him getting in the college football playoff. And as much as they didn't think he was going to get into this expanded playoff here in the 12 team, they found a way back in. They did it. But I have said all season long that Texas has something special. And as much as I love Dabo, I got Texas going up against Arizona State. Here's some history for you in the Peach Bowl. The Peach Bowl was put into existence in 1968. Arizona State, back when they could choose who was in the Peach Bowl and it wasn't chosen by the committee, Arizona State was picked by the Peach Bowl in 1970. It was their first bowl win in their history for the Sun Devils. They had never won a bowl game before. And because the Peach Bowl is in Atlanta, people out in Arizona said, well, no one's going to come out to this game. So I was told by President, CEO of Peach Bowl, Inc., that oversees the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Aflac kickoff game, Gary Stoken, he said to me that after Arizona State won in the Peach Bowl, because they didn't have a West Coast Bowl, the Peach Bowl is actually, in history, a part of creating the Fiesta Bowl by working with Arizona to have a bowl game in their state. So the Peach Bowl having Arizona State helped to bring about the Fiesta Bowl, and now both of those bowl games are part of the college football playoff. So the Fiesta Bowl can thank the Peach Bowl way back when for helping them, and Arizona State winning can help the case as well.
I played in 4 bowl games. The Fiesta Bowl, wow. The Superdome was pretty fun. Yeah. But anyway, the Fiesta Bowl was by far the classiest bowl, by far. The things that they did, the things that they had, I just, it was very well, I mean, for being one of the younger bowls,
Yeah.
it was well done. The food
How many games you win that year?
10.
10?
All right. And got to the Fiesta Bowl. I love it. All right, Cookie.
It was a little harder back then because you only had about a dozen teams that were even thought of.
You didn't play as many games.
Right.
So Ohio, and you didn't have 2 byes. Ohio State, Tennessee, Cookie.
I'm going to take Tennessee.
Okay. Why?
I think Ohio State's broken after that Michigan loss. You're going to see one of 2 things. Ohio State might rout them or they lose. I don't think it's a close game. You're going to see what they're built from. I think they're broken after that game.
I think they're
They're trying to charge. They're trying to charge kids with felonies for putting flags in the middle of the field. That's how broken they are. And I think Ryan Day's coaching for his job.
Yeah, by the way, never did I think there would be pepper spray
Yeah.
at a game, but
Yes.
but thanks to Ohio State and just how great they can lose a game, just their sportsmanship, their kindness. I'm being facetious right now, but Ohio State, I guess you have to learn how to lose gracefully, but you don't really have to worry about it when the committee takes care of you.
Right. I think Ryan Day is coaching for his job on Saturday.
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I do want to make a note of the Heisman Trophy top 10 finalists. Kyle McCord, former Ohio State quarterback, he was in with Syracuse. I don't believe, unless I checked it wrong, that Ohio State had a quarterback or anyone in the finalists for the Heisman this year. And I believe they have 2 quarterbacks that said they're going to go in the portal no matter what happens in the college football playoff this year. So it looks like things are working out with the Buckeyes. And for all those Ohio State fans that were bitter that Kyle McCord left, he is leading the country in passing yards, wasn't the Davey O'Brien Award winner, and was in the top 10, but not in the top 4. Cam Ward was, who he beat head-to-head and had more yards during the season then. So all I got to say is Ohio State, Fran Brown owes you a bottle of champagne. I might buy you one as well.
That's how broken Ohio State is.
Absolutely, but I still, I really, I think.
And I'm saying
I
this,
don't think
Tennessee, the only
I don't
question
think
mark
they
is
have
can the
the
true
bodies.
freshman go in and win a game?
Yeah, I don't think they have the bodies. Ohio State guys on the bench are as good as anybody that plays Division I. I mean, they've been fortunate, but you know the way this is going now with the NIL stuff and everything, it's going to get a little hairy the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Until they fix it.
Yeah, they're going to have to right the ship. It was so tight, then it got so loose, they got to find that
Well,
middle ground.
I'm on the NIL. There's a board. There's 12 of us at Pitt. Okay. And when we first started meeting, we were trying to come up with any facet that we can make money. You know, so we were talking to trucking companies. You know, what happens when you don't get a full load? The big boys don't take it. So hey, I'll find one who'll take it. I'll take 10% or 15%.
Yeah.
And it worked. We were doing like $10,000 a month on just that. But there's other stuff that that the other people thought of, and it's tough. Pitt is like Syracuse. We're a private school. We don't get all that state money, and it's going to be real hard on schools like Syracuse and Pitt.
Well, Syracuse has over $1 billion in their endowment, so they need to stop saying that they don't have any money.
Right.
They got one.
Really?
Who's your pick, by the way, for this?
Go ahead.
You gotta get your pick.
Oh, mine. I'm
picked Ohio State.
I'm sorry. I'm Ohio State.
You don't have to apologize.
No, I'm not. But
Say it was a
I just think
Don't ever apologize to us.
you don't understand. I hate him with a passion. My 2 nephews and niece went to Ohio State because at that time my older brother was living in Columbus with his job.
Yeah, and you missed Christmas a couple times, and they wanted to get back to you. I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
Anyway, they're the most obnoxious. I mean, it gets into, like, you know, my one nephew, Todd, lives in Colorado now. He's so obnoxious about it. He blows up every team on here. He goes I'm going to go
We're
buy
perfect.
a T-shirt right now for Ohio State national champion because nobody's going to beat him.
Well,
It could be, but
his fate might come. The Grim Reaper might come calling on Saturday.
I'm hoping Tennessee does do it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Josh Heupel, I got to spend time with him at UCF. He's done a tremendous job. And outside of a couple missteps in recent history, he would have been in the college football playoff when there was 4. So, in my opinion, Tennessee has too much here for Ohio State. I think they're going to score too many points, honestly. I think they're going to do enough. They're going to create more of an opportunity for themselves by showing the Ohio. This is my thing. This is Ohio State's most difficult game they played all year. This is their first non-conference quality game. Because remember, in the Big Ten, because they know they got an unfair advantage, they don't play 4 non-conference games. They play 3 non-conference games because they know that they don't have to play anybody tough like the American does or the MAC or the Sun Belt or Conference USA or the Mountain West because they know that their conference is well respected even when most of the teams in the conference in the Big Ten are unranked. So this being a true test for Ohio State, remember when Michigan decided to test themselves this year and they had Texas come to town? They got absolutely embarrassed by multiple touchdowns. Ohio State, you're actually going to get tested for the first time this season. And guess what? Heupel's going to get them Volunteers moving on into the next round. I have Tennessee.
I like it. I like it.
I
So-
like anybody that beats Ohio State.
So-
I'm going to give you a little statistic. I had it with my nephew. And he's utterly obnoxious about it. So I did some homework. I says, Todd, first of all, you need, who cares? You really need some help. This is my nephew. He says, I understand now. I did some homework. I understand now why you think the SEC really sucks. But guess what? Ohio State's never beat an SEC ever.
Wow.
Here's the statistics right here. They lost 4 against Clemson, 4 against Florida State, 0 wins against Florida, South Carolina, Auburn, and Georgia.
There you go.
That's cemented deal right there.
Yeah, well, because they don't have to play anybody until the end of the year.
Well, first, why is the
Except
Big
for this
Ten
year and this
so
summer.
overrated?
I said
Big Ten
until this year, yeah. I mean,
They have been, during COVID especially.
Well, why?
Well,
They had less COVID people?
No, during COVID, the Big Ten said they weren't going to play because they cared about the health and safety of their student athletes. Then they watched the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 make money. Then they decided all of a sudden they were going to play. And like 6 weeks into the season, they ranked Michigan and Ohio State and I think and Penn State, I think, in the top 25. And Michigan went up 4 spots in a week that they didn't play football. They went up over UCF and a bunch of schools. They went up 4 spots with a record of 0-0. So if people don't believe the Big Ten has an advantage, go back to the 2020 polls and tell me how teams that have not played for 6 weeks were in the top 25, and in the case of Ohio State, in the top 8.
Right.
So
They do.
so building off of that, as everyone knows, the Big Ten, we're all picking SMU over Penn State then?
you go first.
Because I am.
I am.
I think SMU beats Penn State.
I have never been more proud to be sitting next to these two gentlemen because it stangs all day, baby. A Nittany Lion is not going to outrun a Mustang. I'm going with SMU, and I'm telling you this right now.
That's the only across the board we got.
SMU, if it's 10-10 at halftime, or if they're up 17-10 or something like that, they're a second half team. Rhett Lashley should not be counted out. They've been counted out all season. This team is playing with house money. They know that they have no respect. They're going to go into Penn State, and as I said, I will be at Penn State this weekend,
right.
and I will be having a smirk on my face walking through the parking lot at around 100,000 people that are going to be losing their minds.
So, yeah.
Just in case, are you bringing a hood?
What?
A hood?
I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring an SMU hoodie.
No, that's if Penn State beats SMU.
Oh no, I'm going to stick by my pick. I will have my grin.
So I think without bias of not liking Penn State, I think Penn State's going to come out ready to roll. And if SMU can sustain that, because they're coming.
I agree.
And I think if you can get Brashard Smith for SMU running at 1,240 yards this year, if you can get that and you can control the pace of the game, you have a really, really, really good shot at winning that football game.
You know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to have 2 linebackers on one guy.
Yeah.
The whole
But think
game.
about this. Kevin Jennings. Now, when I talked to Rhett Lashley, the head coach of SMU, and him and I have spoken for many years now, when we spoke about Kevin Jennings, he said Preston Stone, Kevin Jennings both played at the beginning of the season. And Preston Stone was the incumbent starter. He said it was not a popular thing to take the guy who had did nothing wrong to lose his starting job, to have Preston Stone this season lose his job to Kevin Jennings. Outside of a last-second field goal by Clemson, Kevin Jennings has not lost a single game as the starter of SMU at quarterback. And I'm telling you right now, if they can put points on the board in the first half and keep it close, SMU is a dangerous second-half team.
They have to just
Right.
because Penn State's coming out
Right.
hard.
Oh, yeah.
If Ken Jennings can protect the football and they get a couple, Ken needs to make 2 timely throws in the first half. If that game's a single-score game going into halftime, I think SMU wins.
Yeah, I think like I said, if it's close,
I think the Temple's going to get set. in the first
Yes.
quarter.
Yep.
Temple's going to get set in the first quarter.
and I think SMU's got to come out and they got to strike. And if they strike first, I feel good. I will be there, by the grace of God, for that game in the first round, and I'm excited to see SMU go up against Penn State. Indiana, Notre Dame, the team that I shake my head at why they're there versus the team that I shake my head at if they're there, why they are where they are. By the way, off the record, I spoke to one of the commissioners of the 10 FBS conferences, and he told me that it is, I said, if Notre Dame goes 11-1 or 12-0, they're getting in the college football playoff. This is the 3rd time that they've been in that world, and they got in. And so he told me it is actually written. It is actually in law protected of Notre Dame that if they are in a position of 11-1 or 12-0, not having a conference championship, he said, Dan, it's literally existing that if they're in that world of 11 or 12 wins, allegedly there's paperwork out there that Notre Dame has a path as long as they get to 11 or 12.
That's not surprising.
Bullshit.
Look at the
Al's third of the day. No, you can. I mean, it is wrong.
They bring the eyes.
They do. Touchdown, Jesus.
With that said, I think they're gonna roll Indiana.
Over Indiana. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana played a bunch of schools in Wichita, Kansas for this season.
I think it's
That was most of their
31-20.
schedule.
31-20. Notre Dame scores late to make it look more competitive.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, Indiana played a lot of churches, but now they're going to get brought to church by Notre Dame. So, what do you got, Al?
Exactly.
I got Notre Dame.
You got Notre Dame.
That's all he's got. That's all he's got. Notre
Unfortunately.
Dame. Jeremiah Love is
All right,
going to run
let me
wild.
tell you the inside story on this matchup. And I read an off article in Sport, whatever. You know, you Google this and all this shit pops up. Anyway, they did this matchup 100%. It's an interstate rivalry.
Yeah.
139 miles or something like that.
Right, an interstate rivalry. It's never happened.
It's crazy.
And they're going crazy in Indiana. And look at the money they're going to be bringing
I
into
know.
Indiana. Think about it.
Yeah.
You know, who was talking about paying $800 for a room? You.
Yeah.
And you stayed 100 miles away?
So I'm saying, so no, for the Penn State SMU, if you want to stay within 4 miles, it's $750 to $1,459 a night. If you stay 30 miles away, it goes from $800 to $200.
Right.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
But that's what Indiana, that state is going to be.
I just think Notre Dame's just there. You know, everyone says Indiana has the #1 rush defense, but they played Ohio State, and Ohio State did whatever they wanted on the ground. I mean, if Notre Dame can run the ball, they're going to win. If you can, Riley Leonard just needs to be a game manager. If Indiana can get Riley Leonard to have to win with his arm, they have a real chance. But I don't think that happens. I think Love, he's healthy. He's been off since November 30th. I don't see a way, but crazier things have happened, I guess.
Yeah, I do. So you're going Notre Dame. I am also picking Notre Dame over Indiana, and we have some thoughts coming in here. I want to get to the thoughts here. So is it true Notre Dame can only get as high as a 5 seed because they aren't in a conference?
Correct.
That is very correct. So they can actually get a higher seed than a conference champion playing one less game. So Notre Dame can get as high as a 5 seed, but it's supposed to be fair that they can't get a top 4 bye. So their fairness is, well, we could give them a 5, but they'll never have a week off. So, but they'll probably have a home game the way that this thing shakes out. So that is the truth. Yeah, so they don't win a conference championship. They're not doing that. And then we're going to get to this Georgia question in a second because we'll come back around. South Carolina right now could beat anyone and destroy Indiana. Records change the scripts, but that is true. I mean, South Carolina could beat most anybody right now. They're good. Yeah.
They were a
So
possession away from. They took Bama to overtime. They beat Bama there in the playoff, but
yeah. So we have Texas and Arizona State. We all picked Texas. So we all picked Texas, and then Al, did you pick Ohio State? You picked Ohio State.
Yeah.
So we all agreed on Texas. Cookie and I agreed on Tennessee. We all agreed on SMU and Notre Dame. We haven't seen each other's picks before right now as it's happening live. Texas and Arizona State. Cookie, what do you got? I think that, well, let me preface it by
Texas,
saying
yeah.
Texas and Clemson is a tougher game than either one of those teams is going to
Correct.
play against
Yeah.
Arizona State.
I think we can just cover the whole half here. I think it's Texas and Tennessee to go to the title.
So you're going to say Texas coming out of the game over Arizona State, and you got Tennessee over Oregon, who has not lost a game.
And they've flirted, though. It's like
They have flirted with the loss.
it's like
They've
you
danced
get to
with
that
it.
point and
Yeah. Oh, they're ripe for one. It's just
Right.
when it's going to happen.
right. I mean, they had what? Wisconsin. It was a couple weeks ago. Like they've been waiting for it. That's exactly I think it's Texas and Tennessee.
Your father said Notre Dame by 3 scores against Indiana.
Really?
3 scores. Yeah. Down by 3. He said he put money on it.
I had 31-13, and I said Notre Dame might score late, or Indiana might score late to make it 31-20. So we'd be right on the money.
Okay. All right. Well, you got Texas and Tennessee, Mr. Romano.
Yeah.
Who will make it? Texas, Arizona State, who's winning, and Ohio State, Oregon in your bracket?
Texas,
Texas, okay.
I believe.
Okay.
Oregon.
Texas and Oregon for him. All right.
Because I think they're outgunned with Tennessee, but I had to put them on there.
Yeah.
You know, it's a family thing.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to go with Texas. This is a game I've been looking forward to all season because I said for many weeks this season the 2 best teams in college football, Oregon and Texas. And if we get to that point, I will be on site by the grace of God for that game. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic will give, or pardon me, that's the semis. So the Goodyear, why does it say national championship? Oh, the national champion there. So the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, if this happens, will be Texas and Oregon. So I will get to see on site the 1 and 2 seeds play up against each other, which I think is going to happen. I have Texas and Oregon going up against each other.
That'd be nice.
So I got that going on. So, Mr. Romano, let's go to SMU and Boise State. I don't like this game because I want both teams to win.
Yes, I like both. You know what? There's a little sentiment with this Boise State. I watched them twice this year.
Yeah.
And wow, it was like a fun game. Both games were a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough for me because I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to say SMU.
You're going to say SMU?
Yeah.
All right. So Al's going to go.
Reluctantly.
You're going to go SMU to move on in this one. Now, why SMU? Why do you think that they're going to get it over Ashton Genty and Boise State?
Well, yeah, that's the only thing that scares me about their running back is just
29 touchdowns.
he's
He's
You know what?
he's close to Barry Sanders' record, like 200 yards, I think, somewhere around there.
yeah, but his numbers are better than what's his name that just won the Heisman, the receiver for
Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter.
I
Yeah.
think his numbers are better.
Well, they are.
And it was almost like he wasn't even in contention the way they were talking.
Well, here's the thing. So Travis Hunter plays two ways, but the question that somebody brought up that I like because it's a good point is Travis Hunter the best wide receiver in the country?
Absolutely
No.
not.
Is he the best corner in the country? Cornerback?
Whoa.
No.
No.
So Ashton Genty is the best running back in the country. By the way, Ashton Genty, 29 rushing touchdowns to lead the nation. Who's tied with him? Bryson Daly, quarterback of Army, who also has 29 rushing touchdowns this season. So, Cookie, SMU, and Boise State. Al just said SMU.
I have SMU.
Okay. See
I
this?
think the Gentry thing, they're so one-dimensional,
Yeah.
and I think SMU has one of the best coaches in the country that we haven't heard of. So
I love Brett.
Um,
I'm going to text him right now and say that you said that he's one of the best coaches in the
Yes.
country.
You're going to text him?
I'm going to text Brett right now and say that we're doing a live show, and one of my partners said that you're the best. Here we go. This is for you. This is for you, Cookie.
they have a Mountain West defense.
No, make sure you spell his name right.
So, we're doing a live broadcast right now, and one of my co-hosts on the broadcast stated that you are one of the best coaches in the country. All right, let's see what he has to say to that, sir. He's a very humble guy, but I agree with you.
No, he
I
is.
think he's one of the best.
He's definitely one of the best. He's probably the best we don't know about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
So I think SMU beats Boise State.
when I was doing the bracket this morning, I kind of lost my head a little bit. Do I have to stay true to everything I said this morning is the question.
No.
Or because the games haven't
No,
happened
I
yet?
won't even say true to this bad amount.
So,
Yeah.
so,
I'll sit down with you.
so SMU and Boise State, I was saying to Al, this game makes me happy, but it also makes me sad because I want to see both teams in it.
Right,
I
yeah,
want them to
yeah.
both get in the Final Four.
I'll tell you what,
So,
I only saw a couple Boise State games, but I'll tell you what, they were just so excited.
Yeah.
That reminded me of old-time college
Right.
football. I loved it.
yeah.
I mean, their only loss was to Oregon.
What's that?
Their only loss was to Oregon by 3, week 1.
So you got SMU. Al has SMU. I think that Ashton Genty is so good. He's such an incredible player. The man runs for over 200 yards and then he does a backflip at the end of the game. I think Boise State's on another level. I want to see them go far. I want to see them win. But SMU's got a lot of guys. And SMU's got a lot of danger zones. And SMU plays a lot of games late. And SMU can never be counted out. So I'm going to pick the Mustangs to move on as well.
Who pulls more shit out of their ass than Georgia? Are you
Well,
kidding?
you saw
They're
what
getting annihilated in how many games?
Can Boise State beat Indiana?
What'd you say?
yes.
Can Boise State beat Indiana? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think
No,
in the ACC championship, what you saw, he got down 17 in the 4th. The fact that they came back and won that game, I was like, all right, this guy's the real deal
You
coach.
can never count them out.
They were down 17 in the ACC championship, and they never blinked, and they lost on the longest field goal
Longest field
as
goal
time
in
expires,
Clemson history.
and any conference championship history to win a game.
Yeah. Right.
So kudos to them. So I got them going to play. Well, listen, and I'm gonna add on to that. I think that's where their Cinderella run ends.
SMU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I agree.
By the way, kudos to Georgia for being the true number 1 seed as far as the game that they have to play. They have to play the winner of Notre Dame and Indiana. They could play them both at the same time on the field.
Right.
and
Like,
win.
why wasn't that Oregon's game? Why wasn't that Oregon's game? Yeah. Yeah. Indiana. Yeah. Yeah.
22 against 11. I'm fine with that.
Right.
So we all know who you want
Right.
next. Georgia or ND.
And I feel, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with Georgia if it wasn't clear. Yeah. Where
Yeah.
you go, Cookie?
Yeah,
Georgia?
Yeah.
I'm doing Georgia.
Okay.
I just,
I mean, I can tell you where it ends. And
well, yeah, Georgia all the way. Possibly.
yes.
Georgia, they're so good.
I just never.
If
You know, you could catch the first half of a Georgia game because they're getting their butts kicked. Come back 5 minutes later, and they've either caught up or they're winning the game.
Not a better coach in that locker room.
Oh, they're
so, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you think about it like this. One of the most intelligent coaches is named Smart. So, I mean, Kirby and what he's done, I think I have to echo the sentiments of Fran Brown when he said, like, yeah, like we're playing in the bowl game, we want to win the bowl game, and he was talking about certain teams and SMU and Clemson getting in, and he said, but with all that being said, go Dogs.
Right.
And
Right.
SMU's got a chance to play Georgia in this thing. Georgia is undeniably, they went 8 overtimes with Georgia Tech and then won with like an untouched rush. Carson Beck came into the game with a lame right arm at his side, handed the ball off, and they won the game easily. And then they go and play Texas in the SEC championship, and they win that game in overtime. Texas only has 2 blemishes. Both of them are to Georgia. That's why Georgia's 2, or else Texas would have been 2. Who wants to play Georgia right now in a year where some people were trying to pretend that Georgia maybe wasn't that strong?
And, you know, people, my dad won't want to hear it. I mean, people did have a legit argument about it. They had 5 straight games where they had nothing on offense. How they won those games is remarkable.
But that's the thing is that you think about, look at all those games, 13-12 against Kentucky. I called it a baseball game. They're still winning those games.
Yeah, it's probably been but we have,
They're winning them.
Georgia has the standard now.
Yeah, even if they play bad, they're still winning.
Georgia has the standard now where, you know, Georgia does that in 2016. We're like, all right, that's fine. They're finding a way. Now Georgia has that standard where it's like, what are they doing? Why aren't they winning by 3 touchdowns?
Right.
Which is not fair.
No.
It's a different, I mean, but that's just the way it is.
And they have different quarterbacks. By the way, you know, the NCAA investigates a lot of places, including Syracuse, but they never investigated Georgia when Stetson Bennett said, I'm a 5th-year senior, and I still don't have a bachelor's degree.
He's the same age as Josh Allen, basically.
Think about that, though. The balls of a guy to go out and say, I don't have a degree, and I've been here for 5 years, and the NCAA goes, I didn't see it, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the guys get degrees when they go on.
the NCAA.
What'd you say?
Guys go on after a year or 2 don't have a degree.
It's true. But Stetson, 5 years, Stetson Bennett should be on
But
his
they
way.
had 5 years.
But
So,
he got it after.
In what? Hot yoga? What do you get it in?
winning 2 titles. Winning 2 titles.
Did you say underwater
So,
basket weaving?
so
Dollars.
we're
We're in the Final Four.
all right.
Right,
Where do you want to start?
Georgia.
Start at the top.
Okay, now we're up.
So we got the Goodyear Cotton
We
Bowl
got
Classic.
Texas, Oregon.
Yeah, so you got the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Texas, Oregon, and then which we all
At
have.
Jerry's World.
And then we have the Capital One Orange Bowl, SMU, Georgia, which we all have.
Okay.
So what do you got?
Texas defense is too good. Texas.
Okay.
Texas will give. I still can't pronounce his last name. The freshman quarterback for Tennessee. They're going to give him fits. They give up 140. What did I say? 149 passing yards a game. Texas. They have the number 3 defense. They give up 270 total yards a game. It's going to be. It'll be a dogfight, but I think Texas wins by
You got
a touchdown.
You got an electric offense in Oregon,
Right.
going up against an intense defense, and a team that has 2 quarterbacks. I don't think people understand. They have Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. I would take either one of them.
Right.
But I like Arch. a
Both
little
of
bit
them
more.
were first-round picks. Both of them were top 10 picks. So I think Texas goes to the national championship.
Okay. To face.
The trilogy, even though Georgia's 2-0, but I'm going to go Texas, Georgia in the national championship.
And
Wouldn't that be something?
that'd be something else.
I don't know if you can call a trilogy. I don't know if you can call a trilogy something when one team's won both.
That would blow
It
up
is a trilogy.
this whole 12 team. It would blow it up.
Now, what did you
There's
steal
so
from us? What
one-
is this?
Oh, the expired dates are on them.
Oh, okay. You want to test it?
Yeah, I will.
All right, so who do you have?
That's the Scandinavian Hershey's.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I heard that the stuff, all this stuff that we know that's made in other countries has less ingredients and more healthy ones.
Yeah, that's what we
So
heard.
shout
too,
out
yeah.
to Scandinavia for these Hershey's.
It's true.
All right.
Now,
I think
I know what you're going to say because you want to be different.
no. I really never followed. I really didn't follow Oregon a lot. I only caught a game, maybe 2 at the most, and they didn't really impress me that much. But I'm going to say Texas.
As Dan said, they're ripe for the picking. Ohio State
Ohio State.
and Penn State last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you were to look at the rest of this field and say who are your best wins, Ohio State and Penn State would be right at the top of the list. So you have to give them that. That's when I said earlier, what team is really like, you're like, I mean, Georgia and Alabama had the 2 toughest schedules in the country.
Yeah.
Alabama probably has the best win.
Well, by the way, the last time that Notre Dame made the college football playoff, Vanderbilt was terrible, and they barely beat them, and they also barely beat Ball State, and they were in the college football playoff then.
Correct.
But to that point, they beat Ball State that year of the MAC. This year they lost to the MAC in Northern Illinois. So you have Texas versus.
You know what?
You want the battle for Texas, SMU?
No, he's going to pick. He wants to be different. He's going to pick SMU, and I like that, and I respect that.
No, which one's in the ACC?
SMU.
I know. I'm going to use because I think first of all the ACC gets screwed every time.
Yeah.
You know.
They do.
So I'm going to say SMU.
All right. Al's got the battle for Texas.
I adore it.
Al's got-
Eric Dickerson couldn't be happier.
Al's got Austin, Texas versus Dallas, Texas.
That would actually be remarkable.
I would love to see it. And by the way, it would be the best game by any team that calls Dallas home. Because remember, the Cowboys don't like winning at home. They really don't like winning at home. So, Texas, Oregon, the game that I will hopefully be at, which is the number 1 and 2 teams in the country that I thought for a while at the time. If I get to see Oregon and Texas, I'm going to feel like this is a little mini championship for me. I'm going to have Texas moving on. SMU and Georgia. I'm going to tell you this. I have a lot of respect for SMU, as you know. I think there's a lot of things they can do well. But if I've learned anything in the last few weeks, if it comes down to a close game, it comes down to the last possession, it comes down to overtime, nobody beats Georgia in overtime. So I got Texas and Georgia, the trifecta, round 3, the three-peat. And how about this? Jurassic Park 3, not as good as the first 2. A lot of these other ones, the trilogy, not as good as the first 2. But Texas and Georgia, I think is going to be just as good, if not better, than the first 2. So,
I agree.
Cookie, you and I got the same championship. Al's got the battle for Texas. So I will defer to Cookie. Texas and Georgia. Does Texas finally find a way, or does Georgia smack him in the mouth and say, go back to where you know you're supposed to be? Do they send the Longhorns back to the stable? Is the Bulldog at the top of it all at the end, or is it horns up in this game?
Texas has the ball with a minute left, no timeouts. And Quinn Ewers throws a pick. Georgia wins the national championship.
Okay.
So I have Georgia, I have Quinn Ewers, late turnover. Georgia wins. Gunnar Stockton wins the national championship. Gunnar Stockton wins the national championship. How can you not root for? It's Gunner. His name's Gunner.
Well, yeah, this one I don't know, man.
John Stockton's long lost nephew.
I'm going to have to say Texas.
Okay.
Because I don't think, first of all, this was SMU's a wish list. Yeah, I know.
Did you eat your candy yet?
No, I already ate it.
Are you going to have a Tic Tac? All right. So, Al is going to go with Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. Al went with Texas.
That would be wild, though.
Cookie.
That would be
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. Cookie went with Georgia. I want to let you guys know that in the bracket that I was doing this morning, I have a rematch of Oregon and Boise State. And I would love to see Boise State beat them and win a national championship. So, Texas and Georgia for me. Texas better learn their lesson. Because Georgia, they are some dogs. Georgia has put themselves in positions where they could be beat, but most of the time, especially recently, they don't let it happen. I think Arch Manning comes into this game at a certain point. I think Arch Manning is the difference. And I'm going to say horns way up. The Longhorns win a national championship, and the wonderful Texas Longhorn Steakhouse becomes the new main title sponsor of the Texas Longhorns for NIL. That's what I
There you
got.
go.
I am going with Texas. But like I said this morning, I had Oregon, Boise State, and I had Boise State beating them in the national championship. So I could see a road for that as well. But if Texas and Georgia play each other again, I'm going to give Texas the slight edge over Georgia. Although, please let it be known this morning and right now, I'm sitting here saying to myself, if and when the national champion has GA, I will not be surprised. I will not scoff at all. If Georgia wins a national championship, I'm not going to be in any way, shape, or form stunned. I think they're arguably the best team in the field right now. So I'm going to pick Texas because they got two quarterbacks, and right now Georgia's got like 1.5 with Carson Beck injured, and we'll see how that goes. And Gunner out there, Gunner Stockton. But I'm going to say Texas just a little bit more than Georgia. But if Georgia wins, who's going to be shocked? And then if they win from 4 to 12 in the expansion, it's like they're doing what they just did with 4. Now they beat out a field that's got 8 more teams in it. I mean, Georgia's building a dynasty in that case. So
And then 1 month later, the Buffalo Bills defeat the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. Gotta be
is
different,
mine
though.
based on what? It does have to do with it. Yeah. Yeah, best coach in the country. Yeah. What'd you say? Oh, yeah. And Sarkisian, I am excited for this, but so I'm going to say,
Coaching experience in that battle is going to be.
so you got Georgia, and Al and I have Texas.
That's right.
We'll see what happens. Let's ride it out. We do. And before we let this go, we do have to preview the DIRECTV Holiday Bowl featuring Syracuse and Washington State. Let me lay the land for you. Syracuse is ranked in the nation's top 25 in the AP, the Coaches Poll, and the College Football Playoff. In the College Football Playoff final poll of the season, they are 21, which is my favorite number. They finally put them above UNLV. They put them below Illinois for some stupid reason that makes no sense. Oh, yeah, they're in the Big Ten. And they're going up against Washington State. Now, Syracuse is 9-3. Washington State is 8-4. Washington State is unranked, but Washington State gets to play a home game because, as in true fashion, Syracuse gets screwed. They got to go across the country. Washington State's got to go down a couple states. They're 8-4, unranked, get a home game. They are sans 20-plus players that enter the portal with their head coach. So Washington State, no head coach that they had. They got their guys in the portal. The guys are already making decisions of where they want to go. Syracuse has, according to the coaching staff that told me at the dart party last night, there is not a single person on the roster for Syracuse that has opted out. Not a single player. So you said by 3 scores.
The spread is 14 right now.
Okay. So Syracuse, Washington State, DIRECTV Holiday Bowl. By the way, they're going to tour a Navy ship on Christmas Eve. They're going to go to SeaWorld on Christmas Day before they get into the event. Syracuse, Washington State, what do you got?
37-17 Syracuse.
37. Okay, I'm going to write it down. Cookie says 37-17 Syracuse. Al, Syracuse versus Washington State. What do you got?
I didn't have anything, but
Well, you got some history. Don't let these notes go unnoticed here. You got some.
what's
Yeah.
that? Oh, I know, and they've lost
He's already committed.
6 other guys.
He's already
And he
committed.
thinks just the head coach is gone. 3 of the assistants went with him. So,
Well, basically, Syracuse is on the other side of what happened to them last year in a lot of cases.
Right. So I'm obviously I'm thinking Syracuse 42, Washington State 17.
So Al has 42-17 Syracuse. Do you want to bless us with your notes? You did history of Syracuse.
Oh,
Don't let it go unnoticed.
you want me to say
I want you to say the history.
right here. Syracuse has been 16 big. Okay? We're on
16 ball games.
excuse me. Yeah, 16 wins and 11
Yeah,
losses.
27 bowl games.
That's 27 bowl games.
By the way, they had a tie back in their
Now, they
undefeated
played
season.
in the Rose Bowl, which I never knew. No, this is when it began. The granddaddy of them all. They played in the Rose Bowl. They lost. But
When was that, Al?
I don't know. I didn't take it down. I was so interested in the
A long
last thing
time.
I found. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, the answer is a long time
It was
ago.
like 30, like in the 30s, or it was actually in the 30s. The
that's
first what?
Rose Bowl. You got it. 1902.
1902. It's the oldest.
That's the oldest bowl, yeah.
The 2 oldest teams, Yale, Princeton, went on forever. They have multiple championships and all that. But this is what's crazy. When I did some Googling, and what did I come up with?
Al found out that according to the internet, Syracuse has won 10 national championships in football. He looked it up. He
I'm
did.
telling you.
This is why you
Did
can't
I
always
show you
trust the
that? I
internet.
couldn't believe it.
That's why you can't always trust the internet. So I'm going to pick Syracuse to win this. So Cookie's got Syracuse 37-17.
Well, this will give us a little help.
Al's
They know
got,
Washington's depleted.
Yeah.
What's the over/under?
you said,
Okay.
yeah. So Cookie's got Syracuse 37-17 over Washington State in the DIRECTV Holiday Bowl. Al has Syracuse 42-17. Yeah. I have Syracuse.
You know what? I don't think Washington's going to. I'm being generous with 17.
Are you ready?
What?
I have Syracuse 49-13.
No, that's close.
Yeah. I got them 49-13 to win the bowl game. And I will be out there in San Diego. It'll be 2 days after Christmas, folks. Friday, December 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the West Coast. Any final notes from Cookie? Anything you want to share with us, Cook? You got it all out of
I
yourself?
think I got it all out, yeah.
All right.
Except for Bills Packers Super Bowl.
All right. Bills Packers Super Bowl. Al,
Wow.
final words.
I love that. I love it because the last 2 weeks I've been watching the Packers. I'm saying who can beat these guys?
Al, what's your final word?
Well, the Bills. I didn't think of the Packers. Yeah, no, I like the Bills. I mean, this Allen, man, I'm loving it. You know what? I'm not sure on the other side.
Okay. I'm going to say Bills-Lions rematch.
Oh,
Because I said the Lions from the
You know
beginning
what?
of the year.
you know what? That's more like what I would be thinking.
Okay.
For sure.
Bills, I've been saying, as soon as they stop giving the Bills hype, they'll start winning. And that's what they did. They stopped giving them the hype.
When he did that forward basketball push pass,
You gotta love it.
I gotta love it.
Josh Allen is on another level.
Yeah.
With that being said, for Pizza Man and in previewing the DIRECTV Holiday Bowl and the College Football Playoff here on Wake Up Call, once again, your leader of the Beeville Bills backers, that is your president, Jeff Cook. We call him Cookie. The guy who knows everything there is to know about winning a national championship because he did it, Al Romano, and myself, Dan Tortora, for Wake Up Call, on site on location at Pizza Man. We will see you in the new year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and many blessings as always. Be safe, stay well, and as we always say here on Wake Up Call, God bless, no stress, do your best. Enjoy the games and catch Wake Up Call on the road. We call it Wake Up Call OTR. We'll see you from the College Football Playoff, and we'll see you from the Holiday Bowl as well. What did you just say? What did you just say, Bob? We'll see you on the road. Take care.